Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of The Fishing Teacher, and appreciate you guys coming by the channel to check out today's video. Guys, today we got a good video for you guys that like to night fish, or if you've never night fished, I'm gonna give you guys some good tips and advice on how to catch bass at night, because I can tell you right now, bass fishing is 10 times better at night. As far as they're easier to catch, there's more fish to be caught, the bigger fish to be caught. If you really want to catch a lot of bass, you need to fish at night. I mean, I've spent a lot of time doing it and got some good juice for you guys. And we've talked a little bit about this on the past on the channel, but I want to dive into it a little bit deeper in today's episode. Also, guys, before we get started, a couple quick things. Just like to invite everybody to please consider hitting that subscribe button here to the Fishing Teacher. Free and easy to do so. Right now, we've only got 30-some% of the people that watch the videos are subscribed. And also, guys, please swing by and check out the fall sales they got. Tackle Warehouse has got a bunch of good fall sales on tackle right now. I'll have my Tackle Warehouse link in the description if you guys would like to use that link to get some of those sales. Great way to support the channel if you want to use my link there, and along with my other links I got in there, so I really appreciate that. Okay, guys, I used to fish at night a whole bunch. I don't fish at night as much now, simply because I got kids to take care of and don't really have the freedom to get out there and do that. But at one point in my life, I fished at night a bunch. And I actually started out fishing a bass club back in Joplin, Missouri when I was in my early 20s. And there was a lot of old dudes in the club, and they just loved to fish at night. They hate if it was over 70 degrees in the daytime, they thought it was too hot to fish. So they had like 75% of our tournaments were at night. And I didn't like to fish at night, really, even though the fishing was better. But I started doing it more, and I started catching more fish. I started getting better at it. I started fishing farm ponds at night, which are unbelievably good to fish at night. So I've got a lot of experience I want to share with you guys in today's video. Now, first, when you're talking about bass biting or bass feeding, I am 100% convinced that bass actively feed and hunt for food and actually are hungry and do most of their feeding at night. All year long. I think they feed at night in the wintertime, spring, summer, fall. Not to say you can't catch them in the daytime, but I think that the fish that you catch during the daytime are not active feeders. They're more opportunistic feeders. If they have an opportunity to catch something, they will. But when a bass is actually out looking for food and swimming around, hunting for crawdads, hunting for shad, hunting for perch, whatever, frogs up on the bank, snakes, anything, most of that feeding is at night. They are nocturnal creatures for the most part, and they are low light creatures. I mean, bass prefer to be in low light if they can. They're adaptable. I mean, they'll be in bright sunny conditions, but if they had their options, they'd rather be in a darker type of an area. Bass are just a lot more active at night. They not only are they more active, but they get shallower. And let me give you like a scenario what happens. Let's say, for example, on the lake you fish, you got a nice main lake point. Now, during the daytime, those fish can be all over that point. They could be, in 30 or 40 foot of water on the bottom off that point. They may be suspended, roaming around in open water and relating to the point. They may be in anywhere between 5 to 25 or 30 foot of water on that point during the daytime, depending upon the water clarity. But at night, a percentage of those fish move up shallow and get in less than 5 foot of water on the bank. And they're actively hunting for food. And the depth that they hunt at is dependent upon the water temperature for a large degree. So I'll tell you one way that I know this is true, and I've seen it over and over again, a lot of different examples, but let me give you one example of what I'm talking about. Down at Table Rock Lake, I used to do a lot of drop shotting for suspended fish over the top of deep submerged timber. So there's a lot of timber at Table Rock that grows out of 60 to 80 foot, and the tops of those trees maybe come up to about 20 foot of the surface. Excuse me. And one of the favorite ways to catch them at Table Rock, a good way to catch them, especially spotted bass, is to drop shot those tree tops, especially if they're in and around some type of a point. So this was a late June or early July. I can't remember. I was down there fishing, and I was catching some fish on a drop shot in about 25 foot of water over about 60 feet deep, fishing vertical right under the boat. And I caught a Kentucky, about a 2.5 pound Kentucky, and there was a big crawdad pincher, like a fresh crawdad pincher, sticking out of its gullet. That fish did not get that crawdad suspended over out in 20 foot of water, over 60 foot of water. Those crawdads just don't swim out in open water. That fish had swum up on the bank and ate that crawdad that night because, like I said, I was probably, I don't know, 300 feet from the bank. This is an example of what fish do, and that's the advantage you need to take it of why you need to be fishing at night. Okay, now the best times to fish at night, in my opinion, are when the water temperature is over 55 degrees. I fished a little bit at night when it's colder, but I prefer fishing anywhere between like March into early December, as long as that water's over 55 degrees. I just feel that if that water's over 55 degrees, more of those bass get up in that 5 foot of water zone, and that's the depth I really like to fish at nighttime. So that's when I like to fish. So there's 9 months out of the year that this will work. The best places to night fish, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the places and we'll talk about the baits, but the best places to night fish are places that have a very close proximity to deeper water. So therefore, at night, I love to fish bluff banks, I love to fish steep rocky banks, and I love to fish points that are close to deep water. Because those bass will move back and forth from that deep water up to the bank at night, these are the prime areas. If you gave me one structure to fish at night, it would be in and around some type of a main lake or secondary point that has some deep water off it. So let's say, for example, you've got a nice main lake point. I'd start like maybe 150 or 200 feet from the point, and I'd work around the point and back on the other side, and you're apt to catch one anywhere in and around that point. Those are excellent areas. And again, any type of steep rocky bank, a riprap bank can be good, but I really like some type of a bluff bank or rock transition bank. That's the areas. You want to stay away from the flat type areas. Also, lighted boat docks can be pretty good. I've caught a lot of fish at night down at Grand Lake in Oklahoma, around those lighted boat docks. Those fish will live around those docks sometimes, especially if they got the night lights on. But I don't really like to fish around docks that much. To me, it takes away the experience of night fishing. Part of the fun about night fishing is the peace and quiet and the serenity of it and the darkness of it. So I prefer to fish dark areas. So those points and bluffs and steep banks are where I go to. Next thing with it is when you want to go there. I personally have not seen much difference in the moon phase. A lot of people put a huge emphasis on the moon phase. Yeah, it's easier to fish on a full moon with no clouds. You got more visibility, but I haven't seen any correlation or connection. It's more about the time that you're there. And there is a window, from what I have seen in night fishing, that the fishing is pretty good. And that night window, for the most part, is from about 10 o'clock at night to say 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. That seems to be the best period. I don't catch too many fish like when it's dark right before daylight, and I don't catch too many fish right when it's dark after the sun goes down. The sun needs to be down for 2 or 3 hours, and I like to fish 2 or 3 hours before it comes up. So sort of like in the middle part of the night, give or take an hour or two away from midnight is the time that I like to be out there. Baits, let's talk about a lot about baits. There's a lot of misconceptions about night fishing baits. A lot of different lures will work at night, but there's some that stand out hidden above others that I like to use. My favorite night fishing bait by far is a spinnerbait. I've caught them on a bunch of different colors of spinnerbaits, but you can't go wrong with like just a black spinnerbait, like a black Colorado bladed spinnerbait is really good. 1/2 ounce black spinnerbait with like a number 5 Colorado, excellent night fishing bait. I've caught them on all different colors of spinnerbaits too, with willies, but it seems like that black with like a gold number 5 Colorado is a really good choice for it, or maybe even number 6 Colorado, especially if the fish are a little bit more aggressive, and especially if you have a little bit of a breeze at night. Spinnerbait's really good at night if you have a breeze. My second favorite bait for night fishing is a Texas rig plastic worm. A little bit larger worm. I usually like an 8 to 10 inch worm, some type of a ribbon tail, really good on a fairly light sinker, like a 3/16 or 1/4 ounce sinker. I catch probably a jig and a Texas rig worm are both good at night, but if I fish a jig or a Texas rig worm, I usually wind up getting more bites on the plastic worm. Jig is a really good one too. Don't ever discount a jig. That can be really, really good, especially in the springtime of the year. But there's something about a dark colored plastic worm, like a June bug or plum colored or black or something like that, really, really good at nighttime. Which goes to show you how attuned a bass is to environment, because if you're crawling a worm around the bottom in the pitch black dark, the only noise it really makes is just like maybe the sinker bouncing off the rocks. So bass can pick up about anything. Spinnerbait and worm really good. Another bait that works really good is a chatterbait. This is a little bit more of a recent development that from the old school night fishing things. Some type of a dark colored chatterbait, black and blue chatterbait can be really, really good in and around the same type of places you catch them on a spinnerbait. And then finally, guys, I like a deep diving crankbait. One of my favorite ways to catch bass at night during the summertime is to get out on those points and throw a deep diving crankbait, but I'm not fishing deep with it. I throw it up in 3 or 4 foot of water and fish it down into 10 foot of water. So now this is also really good if the water is really, really clear. So I'll just put my boat in 15 or 20 foot of water, cast that big crankbait like a DD22 or that Megabass Deep 6, cast it up to the bank and try to target that 5 to 10 foot range with it. And the spinnerbait fish and the worm fish, again, it all depends on the water clarity. If it's really, really clear, I may fish down to 10 feet or so, but I rarely fish any deeper than 10 foot at night. Most of the fish I catch at night are in less than 5 foot of water on those structures. But anyway, guys, it's a fun way to catch them, man. It is. It's sort of a pain in the butt a little bit because it's dark and you can't really see what you're doing. It's hard to tie a knot on. And a lot of times it's you know, there's dew on the boat, so it's sort of wet sometimes, can get a little bit cool. There's some disadvantages as far as, you know, creature comforts go. But in terms of just catching them, you cannot compete catching bass during the daytime with nighttime. It is 100 times better. If I go fishing on a lake that has water visibility of over 2.5 or 3 feet during the daytime, and let's say if I catch 10 or 12 fish during the daytime, I'll usually catch 25 to 30 at night, and they'll be twice as big. You catch bigger fish and you catch more fish fishing at night. And one last thing, guys, just if you're in a boat, just be careful at night. I mean, don't rely on these goobers to do the right thing. Pay attention, because some guys don't have their lights on. Just be careful if you are out there at night. Don't run fast. You never know when there's some object in the water you can't see. So take extra precautions and try not to make longer runs. Try to put your boat in close to where you want to fish at night. So anyway, guys, hope it helps you out. We'll talk later.